Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And back to your telephone calls in a few minutes. But first, we are joined right now by the chair of the New York State Conservative Party, Jerry Kassar, as their statewide convention is next weekend in Albany. And the New York State Conservative Party has recently made a move that could conceivably elect Republican Bruce Blakeman governor of New York. Mr. Chair, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's an honor as always, Dominic. I've always been a gigantic fan of you.
Well, thank you. And I feel the same way of yours, of the party, going back to the days of Mike Long, who was an outstanding person. We'll get to the convention in just a second. That starts next Sunday.
Well, that's a conference. The convention is on February 14th, but that's a conference.
Okay, conference.
Yes, that's true, but Bruce Blakeman will be there. But Dominic, you're speaking at the conference. You're doing part of the conference on a book you wrote.
Yes, but I also want, because, Mr. Chair, I've realized, I'm going to come back to me in a second. I want to start with, because a lot of people don't realize that you, as the head of the party, recently made a move that could elect Blakeman governor. And it's lining up with you've endorsed Blakeman, the Republican Party has endorsed Blakeman. The last time in recent memory this was done in my that I can remember was when New York elected George Pataki. Is that correct?
Well, no, we have been endorsing we endorsed Lee Zeldin, but it is true the last time we elected a Republican governor, he was a Republican conservative governor, and in fact, the first time George Pataki won, the Conservative Party was the margin of victory. Right.
And so, when I saw that, I said, wow, this really gives, because let's face it, and I'm saying this objectively, of course, Blakeman has got the personality, he's got the look, he's not somebody to sleep on. And with the Conservative Party in his corner and the Republican Party in his corner, and with Stefanik now out of the race, he's got a real shot. A real shot.
I think he's got an excellent shot. I mean, I live in Brooklyn. I certainly have a good feeling of what goes on in Nassau County, where he's the county exec. I mean, he does an excellent job as county exec. But the reality is, I've known him for 35 years. And in those 35 years I've known him, I have found him to be an outstanding public official, or no matter what area he was working in. And many of those years he was in the legislative branch, and now, of course, he is in the executive branch.
And it's going to be very interesting to see how this turns out. So I would imagine you're not necessarily a fan of Governor Hochul, the Democrat in this race.
Well, there's many. She's become the butt of a lot of different commentary. I mean, whether she's the worst governor in America or whether based on her budget this week, I would say her general attitude is, her view of the world is the more you spend, the more you save. I mean, she's just ridiculous. She's a caricature of a governor, and it's embarrassing to the people of the state. She needs to go. We have a great guy to become governor, but she's an awful governor. Just to add insult to injury.
Well, and that's where the problem lies for her. So the rap that some say, I don't know if I buy into this, but the rap is that, in Nassau County, Blakeman is expected to do very, very well, but the concern is upstate. And how do you respond to that?
Well, I think there's some truth to that. I think the concern so there's two ways. Well, there's really only one way to look at it. Upstate wants to vote Republican. They just got to get to know Bruce better. Bruce is putting the money together, and he spends the time, and he has the commitment to branch that issue bridge that issue and to become an upstate candidate as well as he's a popular downstate candidate. That, by the way, is one of the reasons he's going to get elected governor. These are communities that, when they get to know him better, will come out in large numbers for him. They are not going to be voting for Hochul, these upstate communities. The question is getting people excited and out for him. That will be the responsibility of his campaign. That's why we run campaigns, so that people get to know you. But when it comes to Long Island and the city and Westchester and Rockland, you turn on the TV, you see Bruce Blakeman on it right now. You listen to the radio, you hear his name. You open up some of the newspapers, you catch it. And if you listen to a great station like ABC, you hear him or his name all the time.
Well, and when you say, Mr. Chair, Chair of the State Conservative Party, Jerry Kassar, when you say if you get to know him, then it's a win. I agree with that. Because to me, he has I'm not comparing them in terms of policy, but he has the Bill Clinton effect. Anyone that knows Bill Clinton knows that in a one-on-one situation, he had this charisma to have you think that the whole world was about you. You talk to Bruce Blakeman in the same way. You have his undivided attention.
Oh, well, let me just add something to that. Last night, I happened to be at an event on Long Island with him. It was a very, very big conservative party event, gigantic actually. Gentleman walks up to me and says, you know, he knows who I am, and he says, Jerry, I just ran into Bruce Blakeman. I haven't seen him in 12 years. He said hi to me using my first name, and then he talked to me about our conversation 12 years ago. Right. I said, well, you know what? I said to this gentleman, that doesn't surprise me at all. That is what a winner does. That is what a person does who connects with the people. That is what Bruce Blakeman is about. He knew you 12 years ago, and he remembers you like it was yesterday. Because let me say this to you, Dominic. This guy was surprised, and I wasn't surprised at all.
And that's the Bruce Blakeman. I'm telling you, this guy he has the energy. He has the magic effect on the campaign trail. And I'm not saying this, I want him to win, but I'm saying this objectively. I watched him recently at an event. The moment he walked in, it was at the movie premiere that Mr. Catsimatidis is in. And the moment Bruce Blakeman walked in, it was like a rock star had walked in, the way the people gravitated to him and the way that he responded to them in kind. So you're having a conference coming up starting next weekend. You've been kind enough to invite me to speak. And the reason why I wanted to speak is because, Mr. Chair, to be honest with you, the older I get, the more I'm realizing, the more conservative I get. Does that surprise you at all?
No, just the opposite, really. I hear that a lot. I think the party is about common sense, and I do think as we age, we get more common sense.
Yes, and I would agree with you, common sense. Because many of these, the answer to many of these problems comes down to common sense. But the left is so batty, so crazy, that, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Governor Walz, the mayor of Minneapolis, Mayor Fry. So with that in mind, Mr. Kassar, what do you make of what's happening in Minnesota?
Well, Minnesota is shockingly corrupt. That's what I find shocking. If you told me 15 years ago that Minnesota would be the central play point for a scandal that rocks the entire nation, I would have said that's silly. That's never going to happen. But no, what I find happening in Minnesota is on many levels disgraceful. Whether it be the way they interact with ICE, or whether it be a concern and the immigration issue, or whether it simply be these gigantic financial scandals which are draining the taxpayers of billions of dollars. So, Minnesota, if it can happen in Minnesota, it definitely can happen anywhere in this country.
How about the demonizing of ICE agents? They're going to get one of these hero officers killed. It's escalating. No backup from local law enforcement. They're talking about this 5-year-old kid. ICE arrested him, which is ridiculous, right? It's absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
But nobody wants to talk about the fact, well, maybe if they had backup from the police in Minnesota, they would have handed the child over to local police, and then the local police would deal with it.
It's even worse than not having backup. They actually have government policies in place that any offender would know would keep them from being backed up. And that's, sometimes people forget that, it's not like the violent element out there that's coming after police doesn't watch to see what the response would be. They know that they have no backup. The only backup ICE has is ICE. And that's ridiculous. And that's ridiculous, and that's limited. And we saw what happened. I mean, that's the problem also. We actually saw what happened. We saw it from 5 different angles, what happened out there, and yet people want to simply go after ICE because they don't like ICE. Right. How about, I'm all about defending law enforcement, I always give them the benefit of the doubt, but this goes beyond the benefit of the doubt. This goes to what is simply right versus what is simply wrong. And it was obvious here that ICE agent was going to get himself run over.
Absolutely. After he had already been attacked months prior and required 33 stitches. How much can one person take? He had no idea what Renee Good was going to do with that vehicle. And as far as I'm concerned, her wife should, and that's another thing, Mr. Chair. I know live and let live, and we're talking to Jerry Kassar, the chair of the New York State Conservative Party. Live on the radio, sometimes it's hard. In terms of how do I describe somebody? Is it a he? Is it a she? Is it a it? Is it a cat? How did we get to this point? And, the Renee, I understand about gay marriage. Much love to my friends in the gay community, to our friends in the transgender community. But how did we get to this point, Mr. Chair?
Well, we got through it. We got it through liberal policies that took away the individual's role as best as the government could do. Look, Dominic, less government is actually better government, and we might not have thought about all these peripheral issues being a result of too much government, but they have been. And Biden was the proverbial icing on the cake. So I think that played a big role in, where we ended up at this particular point in time. But we're seeing this all over the country, and the tolerance Americans have, the tolerance Americans have for doing what's right and standing up for what's right, it just doesn't seem to be there like it used to be. It seems like too many Americans want to hide, even though they want their elected officials to defend them. They don't want to defend the policies of President Trump as strongly as they should, even though they may like them. Right.
It seems to me, Mr. Chair, right is right. The man is doing an outstanding job. The man may go down in history as the greatest president ever. And you'd rather listen to Jasmine Crockett and AOC? I wouldn't let either one of them walk my deceased dog. That's how bad I feel. And so that's why I'm really looking forward to your convention, your conference, next Sunday, up in Albany, because, and I never thought I would get to this point. I'm proud to be conservative in my thinking process, and I'm not hiding it from anyone. Because we've all got to stand up. Before I let you go, please talk to me. I only have about 2 minutes left about this clown, Don Lemon, and then Mayor Mamdani, who is going to ruin this city. Let's start with Don Lemon.
Well, I really believe that Lemon should be arrested. I believe he clearly violated that law. I believe that he was obnoxious to add insult to injury, but obnoxiousness is not a crime. However, you throw obnoxiousness in with the crime, I definitely think he's got to pay some sort of judicial price for that. It cannot happen again. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. As far as Mamdani is concerned, Mamdani will have a short honeymoon, which often happens after you replace what I consider a corrupt mayor. And I think that's what's happening here. He got in. You would never have had a Mamdani if you didn't have an Eric Adams, in my personal opinion. And because you have a Mamdani now, he's probably going to get a short honeymoon, but his policies are atrocious. His appointments are atrocious. It's only going to be a few months before all sorts of things start to fail. We're already seeing, we saw 8,000 businesses leave the city, not because of Mondami, but because of the downturn in last year. Well, Mondami is just going to be a massive extension of that city that is causing businesses to repel and move to other states. They're not going out of business. They're moving to other states and creating business. So, I mean, Mondami is a major problem. And if I may, I'd like to just mention one other thing, if it's okay with you.
Go ahead.
This whole situation in the 11th Congressional District where a judge who was the governor's counsel and chief of staff rules to get rid of a Republican congressional seat where the Hispanic member of the Republican Party who holds the seat, Nicole Maliotakis, was winning comfortably by gigantic margins in a seat where everybody in the southern end of Brooklyn is very happy being with the Staten Island part. It's just another example of how the Democrats in New York State love to rig things. They cannot win in fair fights, so they rig it. And this particular judge played a gigantic role in doing the governor's, she was the governor's henchman in attempting to get rid of a Republican congressional seat because this governor months ago indicated that she would do anything she could to assist the Democratic Party in D.C. How about she read her oath of office one more time, where it says she represents all the people of New York State? Too many people spend no time at all remembering what their obligations are and responsibilities are to all the people.
And fair enough. That's a great way to end this. Well said. You just heard the wise words of the New York State Conservative Party Chair, Jerry Kassar. I look forward to seeing you, Mr. Chair, at your conference next Sunday in Albany. Time for a break. We are coming right back.
Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.